Rarely do I feel the need to be topical. Despite YouTube's success being built on what is hot, I've done my best to try and look at things that aren't necessarily buzzed about. Today, that might be a different story. Of course, spreading around the world currently is the buzzword that is the coronavirus. No, this isn't making light of a situation that is killing thousands, but merely stating the facts. Situations are dire, and without a doubt are at the center of most people's minds. When we get to situations that are dire, with costly ramifications, I immediately go to one of my favorite medical disaster films of all time, the 1999 film, Outbreak.
Try to remain calm.
Many people are dying and are going to continue to die unless we find this monkey.
There will be panic the likes of which we have never seen.
There you are!
Attention, Portland residents, citizens of San Diego.
The film, directed by German director Wolfgang Petersen, is based on a non-fiction book titled The Hot Zone. The Hot Zone, like the film Outbreak, goes into detail about biosafety level 4 agents like Ebola that have high fatality rates and are very infectious. Outbreak, the film for today's Lost and Found, is a fictional study of one of these viruses called Mutaba. Outbreak stars Dustin Hoffman as Colonel Sam Daniels, a virologist who is sent to investigate a dangerous outbreak in Zaire. Here, Daniels learns of the dangerous Ebola-like virus Mutaba with a mortality rate of 100%.
I want to add this. Billy, this is the scariest son of a bitch I've ever seen.
It is not long before the virus spreads to the United States, primarily in the California town of Cedar Creek. Within days, the virus kills hundreds, with large ramifications that bring in the United States military for a full quarantine. Outbreak was released in March of 1995 with large success. The film made almost $200 million worldwide on a budget of $50 million. Despite split criticism, the film received praise for its wonderful performances, chiefly Kevin Spacey, who won 2 Critics' Choice Awards. Famed critic Roger Ebert gave it a 3.5 out of 4, stating it was one of the greatest scare stories of our time.
I thought it was terrific entertainment, it really is, and it's very smart at the beginning.
Much praise was also given to Wolfgang Petersen's swift direction and pulse-pounding pacing. The film did receive criticism for being a bit too conventional and at times even being shallow in the ease of solving something so horrific. Those that have watched zombie films or even more recent disaster films will come to find an easy to identify plot that can be all but cliche at times. Of course, Outbreak is making a big resurgence in part to the coronavirus. In fact, the film is one of the top 10 most popular films on Netflix right now. That being said, comparing the Mutaba to the coronavirus isn't really possible. While the coronavirus scale is devastating and the numbers are pretty astronomical, the Mutaba is infinitely a film virus.
Now we see them individually, searching for the next victim, till there's nothing left to kill.
It is infinitely more dangerous with a mortality rate of 100%. For instance, the dangerous Spanish flu that plagued almost 100 years ago had a mortality rate of 50%. A lot of this is built up with a typical Hollywood drama.
Those are the citizens of Cedar Creek. Go on, look at them. These are not statistics, ladies and gentlemen.
But I think this helps create a separation from reality. It allows an enjoyment into the material without getting too anxious about what is really going on.
Well, after talking to the doctors, the virologists that I spoke to, it was very scary because when they tell you that it's a matter of time, maybe not in our lifetime, but there is a possibility, that was frightening.
Oh yeah, with everything that's going on today, and it's very scary, and there's been a lot in the news about this actual thing happening. I mean,
it's not so much a question of if this will happen anymore, but rather more a question of exactly when.
To me, Outbreak is one of those films that falls in the category of they just don't make them like they used to. This age-old get off my lawn saying is true thanks to Wolfgang Petersen's attention to detail, the pacing, the wonderful production design, and his usual ability to make realistic situations unrealistic but somehow realistic.
Yeah, get your boss on the phone. Call up McClintock. Tell him to put me on a plane before the two of you kill a lot of people.
Colonel, I'm going to suggest that you shut up now before you say something else you're going to be sorry for.
Air Force One, which would come out 2 years after Outbreak, also directed by Mr. Petersen, is a perfect epitome of that.
Get off my plane.
Certain elements feel entirely grounded, and others feel entirely unrealistic. Yet, somehow, probably in part to scripts and Petersen's attention to character building, we were able to get nested into these worlds. The film is littered with easy to recognize talents. Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Morgan Freeman, Cuba Gooding Jr., Kevin Spacey, Donald Sutherland, and Patrick Dempsey, to name a few. The cast has tons of chemistry and plenty of scenes to forge decade-long friendships.
Casey, you're missing the point.
Wait a minute. Was there a photo of the dogs? Because you could have taken that and then solved all your problems.
Forget it. I open my heart to you and you make jokes.
I'm not making jokes.
The point is, when we got the dogs, they were
cute.
puppies. When you go to the pet store, remember that they like those medium-sized bones.
No, I know. The little barbecue ones, I know.
That's right.
See that bridge up ahead, Colonel?
Yes.
Over or under, sir?
Why don't you decide? I'm really not up to it.
Hang on.
Oh, I would have said over.
Hoffman's Daniels is a man with some not so obvious flaws, and his failed marriage to Robbie, played by Rene Russo, makes for some of the more intimate moments in the film.
You know how much that you love your mommy? Well, that's how much I love my wife. And my wife is one of the people who's very sick.
Once again, Kevin Spacey gives an all-out performance as Major Casey, partner to Daniels. He is in arguably the best scene in the film between Robbie and what is really a tender and touching moment. Spacey, at one time, was one of my favorite actors of all time, but unfortunately, his personal actions has made that rather difficult. His performance as Casey is a kind reminder that the actor has wonderful range. Hoffman also makes for a fantastic lead, but his decades of performances show that shouldn't be really shocking either.
It's a pretty unique experience.
Sort of like living with me.
Outbreak is able to position itself in a perfectly comfortable spot in telling its decidedly horrific story. Once again, with the current state of the world, some might not find entertainment in watching something as dire as Outbreak causing mass panic and death. Peterson's sharp direction, keen eye for allowing scenes to breathe through actor performances, and some pulse-pounding sequences help make Outbreak an entertaining film. I fully recommend it.
You were never here.
No, I was here. I followed the bug here. I've always been here. And you remember that.
Hey Tots, as usual, big thanks to my Patreon supporters for supporting. If you want to support my Patreon, please check out the link below. Stay safe out there, Tots. I'll see you on the next video.